So real estate is a lot like hiking, Whitney, especially these last few years. Everybody wants the view of the top, but everybody wants the production. Everybody wants the income, but very few people are willing to do the climb, do the prospecting, deal with losing clients, deal with dealings falling apart. The systems, the hiring, the accountability, the uncomfortable growth required to reach that next level. But the good news is Curtis Johnson has made that climb, and he knows how to get agents through it, right? He sold thousands of homes, nearly 3 decades of wisdom. I don't use this word lightly. I was speaking with him last night, and he was just sharing some things that, you talk to people, and it's like surface level. They're just giving you something they read out of a book or they heard somebody else say, and then you hear somebody speak from experience. That's what we're going to get today from Curtis. So please, normally we welcome him, but we're going to show this video about Curtis Johnson. Yeah, give him a round of applause too.
Welcome. I am so glad that you're here. I'm really glad I'm here too. This is fantastic. If you're watching this on video, you missed out, right? Something happens when we get together in person. And I'm excited. I've got a team in Arizona. I'm going to tell you a lot of trials, a lot of victories, and a lot of things I've learned along the way that I think will change your life. So you came in as one person. And my goal, my commitment to you is to make sure that if you're here present with us, you will leave a different person, right? That your business is in one place right now, and it will fundamentally shift in the next 90 minutes. Now, is that possible? It's going to take both of us. I'm going to give you everything I've got, right? Everything I've got, I'm going to give to you, and you have to make a choice. If you're going to be present, if you're going to just be doodling on your phone or whatever it is, and you're going to just be the same person 90 minutes from now, or if you're going to take the information and the strategies and completely change your business and change your life. So I'm all in. I hope you're all in, and let's get to work, right? So money, monetizing influence. What in the world are we talking about, right? And that's what we're going to go through. I'm going to share a formula, a blueprint to be able to do this. We're going to talk about stories. One of the things I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be going really fast because Brent told me, he said, this is the advanced group, right? The slow group is in probably the hall down the way, right? This is the advanced group. So we're going to go really fast. I'm all in. So if you're kind of like part of the slow group, right? They're down the hall. This is the advanced group. We're going to go through it. Also, people learn in a lot of different ways. Would you guys agree with that? Raise your hand if you agreed that we all kind of learn a little bit different, right? Some people learn visually. Some people learn by reading. Some people learn by listening. Some people learn by experiencing. So I'm going to be going through a lot of information on the slides about every 4 seconds or so. Hopefully something will be changing. I do that to punish people that can't pay attention, right? So if you've got to run out, if you're like, oh, I just got to go take this call, that's fine. Guess what? You're gonna lose some money. That's my commitment to you, is to make sure that I look at this like you've got a remote in your hand, and at any time you could just zap me, and you could switch from, to Fox, to NBC, to ESPN. You could just change because that's the world that we live in. So my job is to be fast-paced. So every time I get done, people go, man, you were so fast. There was a lot of information. I didn't get it all. That's okay. That's what we're trying to do, because you're not going to get it all, because we're all in a different place. So the idea is that you're going to understand the fundamentals, and there's going to be a few things that are absolutely going to click for you, and you're going to make some big changes, right? So everything I'm going to be teaching you is how to become unignorable. Unignorable, right? Because that's really what our industry is all about. So I'm going to show you how to go from invisible, which we all start as invisible, to unignorable, and eventually to get to freedom, because that's really all why we got into real estate, right? To have some freedom. So this is the blueprint. So memorize that real quick. Okay, you guys got it? Okay, perfect. This is the advanced group. All right. So this blueprint, I've never shared the entire blueprint as a whole, right? Different pieces of it, but this blueprint, and I'm not bragging about this helped me go from pretty much nothing in every area, working with buyers to dominating, sellers to dominating, from not having a team to building a dominant team, a big team, and then to build an 11,000 person organization. All of these in this blueprint will help me do this, and will help you do this as well. This is something that Brent really helped me understand, and that is that live events change lives. Would you agree with that? Raise your hand. 2/3 of the room. The rest of you don't know where you're at. You guys are at a live event. Go on. All right, did live events change lives? They absolutely do. They've changed my life by being with the right people at the right time in the right environment so I can make those changes to be able to do that. And I also believe that high energy equals high income. So if you're high energy, send me some good vibes, right? There you go. Come on. You can always tell the people that are making money, right? They're happy. Then you got some other people sucking on lemons, like, they got drug here or whatever. So the other night, Mariah, we went to, saw Benson Boone in concert, right? And he got out, and the arena was packed. And he gets up there, and he's like, hey, thanks for you guys being here, and thanks for everybody that got drug here and everything. I was thinking, this is a packed stadium, and yet he knows that people got drug there. So I'm not so naive as to think some of you guys didn't get drug here, but let's just go have a good time. Is that fair? Yeah. All right. So bring some high energy. Let's go make some money. So I could tell you all these really cool things about myself. Probably my mom wrote most of these, right? Billion-dollar agent, sold 7,000 plus houses, cover of Realtor magazine, did a lot of different things. Wow, that's fantastic. In this industry, you kind of have to go over that or people won't listen, right? Because we show up and we go places and we're like, but why should I be listening to this person? What have they done? Have they done the types of things that I want to do? And it kind of gives some credibility, right? Because you've ever gone someplace and you've gone through a half-hour lecture from someone that sold 2 houses on how they've just figured it all out. It kind of gets a little old, right? The only reason I tell you this is to really just tell you, hey, this isn't theory. This isn't an idea. This is actually grassroots, kind of going through proven stuff. Or I could tell you the truth. I've failed more than anybody I know. Right? I wondered where my next escrow was going to come from. I've bought from the dollar menu when there was a dollar menu because I had $1. Right? So no one has it all figured out. So as we go through and we have these thoughts, these imposter syndrome, I'm not good enough, I shouldn't be there. I've got the same thoughts. I'm here because Brent said he's given so much to me. He's like, hey, will you come speak? And my first thought is, absolutely, I'll come speak, but why should you listen to me? Right? Everybody's got it. Doesn't matter. You could be the biggest speaker in the world. You could do whatever. We all have that. But we all have to get up and we all have to get to work, right? So before I tell you what I do, I want to tell you what I believe so we can understand if we're on the same path or not, right? I believe real estate is an incredible career. Would you guys agree with that, right? Again, about half the room, the rest just had a deal blow up a couple weeks ago or something. You're in mourning, right? Let's fix it, right? I believe it's an absolutely incredible career. But I also believe that the industry is fundamentally broken. Fundamentally, on purpose, broken. It's designed to keep agents selling just enough homes, on average about 3.3 homes a year, which in California is actually pretty, you could make a halfway decent lifestyle with that, right? But not enough to give up your license. So we have to decide if we want to be the same group of low producers or people that are just getting by, or we want to actually have freedom in our life. That's the choices we have to make. So I'm going to make a prediction. Out of this room, you've got usually about 20% of people that are going to do stuff with what we talk about. It's a Pareto principle. We've got 20%. So got 100-something people in the room, right? You got about 20, 25, 30 people, right? People that are watching this on video. We'll have thousands of people watch this on video. About 20% of people will do stuff, right? Maybe a little less on video because they're going to be multitasking and they think they're somehow the exception, right? The rest of everybody is going to go, that was great. I got to hide from my wife for 2 hours. That was fantastic, right? So you get to decide if you're going to be part of that 20%. And I'm also going to say that I know that someone here is going to be absolutely blow up based on the information we have here. And there's going to be about 10 people that are going to build a dominant business just based on these 90 minutes we're going to spend together. You've got to decide if it's going to be you or not. You guys get to decide. The same person sitting next to each other, they can have completely different experience. They can accept it in a different way. One person's thinking about a deal that they've got going on, an inspection report and everything else like that. Here's what I know. I wish this industry was different. I wish it was the great agents that made the most money. It's not. It's not how it works. The best marketers win. The best marketers win, right? I fundamentally believe that good people should not stay invisible. So if you're good people, let's not make you invisible. So let's go through this. And here's the reality. The best known beats the best. And I know that there's part of the 80% in here that's unhappy with that. I'm going to do a lot of things that are going to challenge your beliefs. I'll probably even piss you off probably early and then probably again throughout the day, right? Because that's my job, is to change you in this time that we have together, to challenge your thought process. You don't have to agree with me on everything. That's fine, right? But you need to challenge your thinking. The best known beats the best. And I wish it wasn't that way. I really don't. Wouldn't that be great if like the best, the best restaurant or the best cars, or whatever, it's the best marketers. So our job is not just to understand the contract better. It's not just to have the best inspection, to be the best negotiator. All those things matter, right? But here's the reality. It's like a bunch of restaurateurs, right? We all own restaurants, sitting here fighting about who washes their dishes the best. That's the baseline. Understanding the contract, being great, why should I use you? Because I'm honest, I'm ethical. That's washing dishes. Do you guys get that? That is the very baseline. You would never say, what's our marketing plan? We have no rats in the kitchen. That's the baseline. That is the baseline. What we're talking about is making money, right? So let's not argue about who's the better dishwasher. They expect a certain level of performance, right? So we all start out as invisible. We blend in. Nobody notices us. We don't have very good opportunities. We complain a lot, but we start out as invisible. So this is section 1 of the blueprint. So we start out as invisible, but there's a cost that comes with that, okay? So how many of you are parents in here? Raise your hand. This is not a trick question. Some of you might be sitting next to someone, you're like, wow, I didn't know. I didn't know somebody would do that. All right? So good. So you guys already know what it feels like to be ignored, right? Let's get real. I've got 3 boys, and I could be sitting there going, hey, Dax, hey, Derek, hey, Trey, hey, yelling for him. Nothing. Crickets. And then all of a sudden, who wants Chick-fil-A? Boom. Hey, Dad, how's it going? Right? Because it's in their self-interest, right? Or here's the deal. You guys really want to get them? Turn off the Wi-Fi. Turn off the Wi-Fi, you can get them from anywhere, right? They will just come flying at you. So being ignored is funny at home. It's not so funny. It's expensive in business. It's expensive in business. So let's fix that. So raise your hand if you've ever posted anything, checked again like 6 seconds later just to see if it went viral. The rest of you lie. Come on, we all done that, right? Just in case, right? You might not be bad, you're just invisible. Okay? It doesn't mean it's bad content, it just means you're invisible. So this is the interactive part right here. So why'd you get into real estate? Throw out a couple things. Why did you get, we'll start out with, because I like people, all the good stuff like that. Why'd you get into real estate? Tell me the truth. Yes. Make more money. We finally our first honest person right here in the beginning. Make money. I love it. Why else? Anybody else? Work your own hours. Okay, what else? Give me a couple others.
To pay for my daughter's wedding.
Pay for your daughter's wedding. Okay, hopefully she doesn't have very many friends, right? Okay, give me 2 more. Family business. Okay, that's interesting. That's good. Okay, give me one. I thought I heard another one. Kids? Oh, I thought you were going to have more kids. I was like, okay, all right. Right, so we start with this. I got in because they want unlimited income. Right? Yeah, I got to get in. This is amazing, right? Flexibility and freedom, right? We all get in thinking, like people tell me all the time, I was working a full-time job. I need to get in real estate so I could have more freedom and work less. I'm like, what? I'm like, who sold you that line? I'm like, my first part-time job. Come on now, right? I love this. This is awesome, right? Starting a real estate business is like thinking you'll get more free time by having a baby, right? You're not going to magically, by opening up a business, you're not going to get more free time. That's not how it works, right? Got to spend some time with Dave Ramsey. Is it to give to others? Yeah, but guess what? You have to put your own mask on first on the plane, like with the air, before you can give. You've got to be able to do that. So we're going to continue with the interactive part, right? Because got to get you guys to like me, and we'll kind of go through this a little bit, right? So what jobs have you worked in your life? This is always the most entertaining part of this. What jobs have you worked in before you got into real estate? Property, okay, that's fun, but kind of, I'll give me some good ones. Who else had fun jobs? Working foundation, building foundations? Oh, digging, okay. Can't do that very long without kill your back, right? How else? Universal Stores tour guide. I love that. Okay, I heard one right over here. Store manager. Okay. Give me some good ones. I know you guys got some good ones. Okay. Now we're starting to get good. Electron microchips. Okay. What else? River guide? Nursing. Okay, I like that. A couple people here are like, man, this is my first job. Never done anything else. Right? I got into real estate, just washed my mind away. I forgot them all. Right? Teacher. Okay, I love that. Right? There's so many people come from teaching, nursing, have great hearts. Right? Sadly, are horrible marketers in a lot of cases until you learn to become a great marketer. And it's great when you become a great marketer and you already have a great heart, then it's a home run. Right? So we need to go through this. Myself, just to share a little bit about that, I was essentially unemployable. And like, if we're being honest, almost everybody I've ever met in real estate, which is, I don't know, it's got to be close to 100,000 people, almost exclusively I've met one person that actually planned, besides maybe a family business, that had actually planned they wanted to get into real estate. Everybody else, they gave up on everything else. They had become unemployable, and they had $1,000 until they went into real estate, right? I painted curbs I painted numbers on curbs. I work with a financial planner software. I worked at a few different gas stations because I'm an overachiever. With that, I worked on roofs and realized I hated heights. I moved furniture. Like, that wasn't very fun. I worked in a laboratory. I just bounced around. I worked in a funeral home for a while, did pretty well, but it's kind of a dead-end job, right, with that. I worked for an attorney. I did a lot of different things. But I realized I was unemployable. I couldn't work for somebody else. I needed the rush of building something for myself. So had about 90 days worth of income, or at least I thought I did. And I said, you know what? How hard could it be? I've seen real estate agents out there. They all drive amazing cars. They have to be brilliant. They have to be great. How hard could it be? And I got to tell you, right out of the gate, selling a house almost every day. Right out of the gate, right? Almost sell one on Monday. I'd almost sell one on Tuesday. I'd almost sell one on Wednesday, but I wasn't selling anything. I was the almost sales guy. I was like, man, I was almost, right? I got 90 days. Got to sell a house, or I got to go get a real job. Can't do it. So I did in that 90 days. I did go sell a house, and I went on. I sold a few more houses, but the reality is there was no freedom. I was stressed out. I was new to Arizona. I didn't have a sphere. I was going through, I felt like my life was spinning out of control, and I had a crazy boss, and it was me, right? It wasn't horrible. I mean, it was just horrible. It wasn't good. It was not what I thought it was going to be. And I almost didn't make it. You guys want to admit, does anyone here almost not make it at some point? You think about walking, if you haven't thought about walking out, like at least once a week, you're probably really not active, right? At some point during the week, you're like, what am I doing? Right? It's an amazing career, but it's also crazy. But I almost didn't make it, right? I did sell a house, didn't take a day off for like 2 years. It was a little over 2 years, actually. I wasn't bad, but I was invisible. I wasn't bad. I went to every class I could go to. I went to every association class. I was like, I'm going to be the best at understanding this contract and understanding this clause. And I would read the contract, I would record it, and I would read it, and I would listen to it at night, and I was like, I got to be great. And I became a great agent without business. I became a great agent. I had very little business. And I was going through, and that first year, I sold 10 houses. And everybody was telling me how amazing I was. And I was like, you don't understand, I'm still broke. Like, big broke. Like, I got to go get a job, like, J-O-B. Like, I'm like, this is horrible. How did people sign up for this, right? Because here's the reality. Visibility beats ability when ability stays invisible, right? I could be great and not have business because I was invisible. The market assumes your ability based on your visibility. And again, you can get mad. There's people in the room right now that are tensing up. They're getting frustrated. They're like, I don't want it to be this way. Hey, I live in Arizona a lot of the time. I don't want it to be hot. Have you guys seen I'm like I burn in like 3 minutes. Like I wish it didn't happen. But my wishing doesn't change the fact that this is what's going on. And we have to decide how we're going to handle it from there. So the market assumes your ability. Just assumes it. And if you're invisible, they assume what? Yeah, yes, thank you. I think we're done, right? Right? And how we see ourselves, would you guys agree with this? How we see ourselves determines like what type of actions we're going to go do, because we're never going to outperform what our belief is, right? If we believe that we're not good, we're going to do the activities of someone that's not good. You know, have you guys seen someone that just carries themselves like amazing and you're like, wow, they are going to win? Because their belief is that they're going to win and they will do the activities that align with that. So I grew up in the 70s, grew up in San Jose, California, and yeah, it was brutal for fashion, I gotta tell you. Like it was, I look at my parents and I'm like, really? Did you hate me? Like what's going on, right? So I grew up in the 70s, but I grew up, it was a tough environment. But I always grew up feeling like I was a failure. I thought, man, I am a failure. Because I had 2 older brothers that died before I was born. And I was told that when I was born, my first memories were, we wanted you, we loved you, we've been praying for you to hope to kind of fill this hole to keep us together as a family. And I was about 4 years old and they got a divorce anyways, right? So as a little kid, to feel like, wow, your purpose was to fix what was broken and you can't do it. You can't fix it. Right? Which obviously they had other problems, but I didn't know as a little kid. I just assumed I was here to fix this and I suck. I couldn't do it, right? And so I knew that we were poor. I knew that they split up. My mom was a hard worker. She was out working like 3 jobs, and then she'd come home and work the phones at night, and she would make phone calls and before caller ID, and she'd be calling people and talking to people and trying to sell stuff and everything like that. And I knew we were poor, but I knew that she was working hard, and I was like, okay, I can emulate that. I'm not good. Obviously, I failed my first thing I was supposed to do, but I can outwork people, right? So I knew I was a hard worker. So when I started out in real estate, I worked about 80-plus hour weeks, and everyone goes, no, it's impossible. No, it's not. You can actually do it pretty easy. If that is what your focus is and that's what you're going to do. But I learned it really early on that I was like, I cannot trade more time for money. I cannot do it. I'm like, I'm selling 10 houses, and I cannot work anymore. I can't work 200 hours a week. I'm like, how do you do this? And I knew that there was people that were selling tons more houses than I was. And I'm like, there's no way they're working harder than me. There's no way they're working harder than me, right? So I was like, okay, so it can't just be hard work. So has anybody ever read this book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad? Right? Interesting. Like there's a lot of backstory to it. Some of it's embellished, if you will, but there's still some really good concepts in there. And this book really changed me, right? To go through, it transformed, not because it showed me how to open more lock boxes or how to do things but it taught me how to think bigger and how to think different, right? It changed and it challenged the old concept of just go get a job, stay at this company for 40 years and work and do that. But it said, take responsibility. One of the things I also learned about during that time is I said, I got to figure out how to be great at marketing and modeling the best, not just working harder, because I tried to do that. And if you guys, there's going to be people in the audience right now that everybody keeps telling, just work harder, just work harder. Now, the hard work is important. It's absolutely critical. It's a critical piece to it. I'm not telling you guys can't work hard, but that is not the only variable that goes into the pot, right? Because here's the deal. If you don't work hard in this industry, somebody else will beat you. So there has to be a level of work. But you cannot outwork a great marketer. You can't beat them. You just by grunt work, you can't do it. So that's why we're going to talk about this blueprint and this strategy. Tony Robbins, walked on fire a couple times with him, is one of the things that I learned by watching and reading his stuff is that if you want to be successful, find someone who has achieved the results you want and copy what they do and you'll achieve the same results. So I was like, okay, there we go. That is it. That is my strategy. Find what someone else has done and model that behavior. So again, I started out my first year. I'd been working for about 6-7 months, had sold, I think, maybe 3 houses, and but I was going on a lot of appointments. I was begging, borrowing, doing whatever I could to get appointments, right? And I kept going up against these people that had been selling for 20, 30 years that were dominant. They're on TV all the time. They've got these great newsletters that are color that the postal service would deliver. I didn't have to bring them to their door. I was like, how do they afford this? How is this even possible, right? And I'd interview people, and I was 26 years old, and they'd be like, well, why should I use you over Russell Shaw? Why should I use you over Bill Ryan? Why should I use you? And after you get asked that enough times and you get embarrassed, if you're competitive, you're like, you can only use I'm young, I'm hungry, I'm gonna fight harder, you can only say that so many times before you've got to come up with a credible response. Would you guys agree, right? So I'm like scouring everything. The internet really wasn't a big deal. You couldn't really do anything with that. The information was hard to get. But I stumbled upon an idea of this radio transmitter called Talking House. I don't know if anybody's old in here like me. You've heard about it, right? And I was like, what in the world? This is the dumbest thing in the world, right? This Talking House, and you put signs out in the front yard, turn your radio, pull up in your car, turn your radio to like, think 1610 on your radio dial, and you hear a message about the house. Of course, I wouldn't sell very many houses, so I had time to record these, and I could record a message on it about someone's house. And so I would, before, let's say if we had a listing appointment, before the listing appointment, I'd go and record a message about it, save it on that, and we'd be talking about the house. I'd go, hey, can I play you something? And I'd plug it in, and then we'd go out into the car in the front, and it's a little sketchy, right? But I'd leave the door open a little bit and turn up the volume, make sure the car was super clean. And they'd hear a message about their house, right? And they're like, okay. I go, did anyone else do that? No. Really? So when people pull up, if you go with someone else and they pull up, what are they going to hear? Crickets. They're not going to hear anything. I was like, well, I'm going to do this. And all of a sudden they're like, okay, little kid, that sounds good. Let's do it, right? So I started getting more business. And then I really don't remember where it came from. Someone obviously just trying to keep figuring out what it was. I figured out there'd be people, it's a lot easier now with AI and stuff like that, but people they sound like celebrities. And they would record messages about the house. It took a long time. You had to send them a script. They'd record it, come back about a week or two later, and be like Arnold Schwarzenegger on this, talking about their house. You know what? People love that, right? First of all, the home sellers love it. So then people would pull up to the house, and they'd listen to it, and the clients would be calling me up. I got like 3 people in my front yard sitting there listening to information about my house. And so I would just tell that story over and over, right? And you're like, oh, that's kind of silly. Did it ever sell any houses? I don't think so. But what it did is it created a gap between me and what everybody else was doing, okay? And the celebrity piece of it, people ate it up. So part of what we're going to teach you is how to cut to the front of the line in your marketing and to be able to really co-opt some of the things that people are doing, okay? So what I did is I learned to move from being invisible to being unignorable. They couldn't ignore me. They could still choose somebody else. So again, that first year I sold 10 houses, I started changing, I started marketing and so forth. And by the third year I was on the cover of Realtor Magazine, and 30 under 30, just barely under 30, right? But I was legally, right? So my second year I sold 42 houses. I never sold less than 100, between 100 and 400 houses every year for 26 straight years, right? Could have sold a lot more. Well, yeah, that's kind of cool, but it just shows that what I'm talking about works, okay? And again, we're not going to just talk about Talking House or whatever. So we all get a lot of accolades. We get a lot of stuff as you're going through it. But let me tell you, how does this actually pertain to you? So here's the reality. Again, I'm going to try to offend you a few times because I want to challenge your thinking. And I'm not going to just challenge your thinking. We're going to come up with a solution. So you guys okay with that? We come through, we talk about the problems, but then we actually build solutions together. You guys all right with that? Because we want to go make some money. All right. So every year you stay invisible. Someone less qualified, they get the listing. They get the referral. They get the speaking engagement. They get the relationship. They get the opportunity. They get the team member to their team. Someone less qualified, right? I believe fundamentally that great people should be the ones that are getting these. But there's too many that are just being invisible. So here's what we know. Real estate, real estate's filled with incredible people, incredible agents. It's not because they don't lack talent, they leave the business, right? Have you guys ever seen someone that was like, oh my gosh, they were an amazing person, they were an incredible agent, and yet next thing you know, they're out of the business. Like, where are they? They left. It wasn't because they were a bad person. They were invisible because they never learned how to build attention. Visibility versus talent. The most talented agent in the market is probably unknown. The best agent, like the one that just absolutely nails it, that takes care of everything, all the contingencies, never misses, is just incredible, probably unknown, right? The most visible agent in your market is probably an average agent. Who's going to win? Visibility beats talent every time. You can get mad about it. You could say it shouldn't be like that. Totally understand. I agree with you. But these are the rules that we're playing with, right? So talent doesn't determine opportunity, visibility does. So there's a visibility tax. I know everyone gets so excited about taxes. You're like, oh, I love taxes. It's California, right? We love taxes around here, right? Oh, come on, I grew up here. It's all right, right? Invisibility is the most expensive choice you make. If you choose to be invisible, you get invisibility tax. Every day you stay invisible, you're going to lose listings. You lose referrals, premium clients. You're going to work harder, all these things. There's a tax that comes with it. Because here's the deal. An unknown agent's going to have about 400 conversations to get 2 clients. An authority agent, someone that's not invisible, right? They're going to have about 40 conversations to get 2 clients. So I ask, if you want to stay invisible, then you must just love hard work. Right? Because there's someone that's mastered this marketing process that is working a 10th as hard as you are and getting better results and having a lot more fun. Okay? A lot more fun. And we're going to talk about the dancing on TikTok and all the stuff like that. I did not do that, right? But there's strategies here, right? Are you invisible in the market? Are you unignorable? Can you just be replaced? Are you a commodity like everybody else? So talent gets discovered only after visibility. It's not the other way around, right? Our industry teaches us and lies to us. Yes, I know we're an association. It does not matter. They lie to us. They do, because they try to tell us that if you go to enough classes, if you go get your CRS, your GRI, your ABR, you go get all these letters, and you become a better agent, that somehow that turns into business, right? Would you guys agree with that, right? Talent doesn't even show up only after visibility. People think that they can be a great agent, and then they can become visible after. It's not how it works. Again, you can wish it was different. I wished it was different. But when you learn the rules of the game becomes super fun, right? And we already know this. You're like, I'm not into branding. You already have a brand. Every one of us already has a brand, right? Each one of us, when we're good at getting attention, it compresses trust, okay? And what does trust do? It compresses the sales cycle. If you guys haven't noticed, the last 4 years, we've gone from about 7 million national home sales to about 4 million. There's less units to be sold. If you guys have not noticed, which you have, because we're like, this is the advanced room. Remember, we're still in the advanced room? Yeah. Okay, we still? Yeah. Okay, I didn't know if we switched the crowd out, right? You guys know that the sales cycle is longer than it's ever been. People are searching on sites. They're doing things that used to take 60 days are taking 6 months. Things that took 6 months to go through now are taking 2.5 years. People are sitting on the sidelines. As we gather more and more inventory, people have more choices. And every time they have more choices, there's indecision. So the sales cycle is longer than it's ever been. So I'm telling you, when we build attention and trust, we collapse the sales cycle, right? So you got to ask yourself, do I want a long sales cycle or do I want a short sales cycle? That's what you got. That's what this is. Even if you say, I don't want to play the game, got it. What you're choosing, but when you say, I don't want to play this game, you're choosing to be invisible, work harder, 10 times harder, and have a longer sales cycle. How does that sound? Am I selling a great or what? Like, oh, sign me up for that. Longer, harder, yes. I'm going to climb Mount Whitney, right? Like, no, that's painful, right? So what do we do? Once we've decided, we understand, I'm no longer going to be invisible. I'm not going to do invisible. I'm not going to choose longer, harder. worse off. I'm not going to do that. I believe I'm a good person, and I'm not going to keep losing my opportunities to somebody else, right? So what do we do? Curtis, what do? We have to create a gap. We have to create a gap. So this is the second part, right? We have to create a gap. And here's the thing, money is in the gap. I'll explain what that is. So again, I've had my team in Arizona, for about 30 years. And the last crash was brutal. I know we got hit hard here in California. Arizona, Florida here, we were all epicenter, right, of this. In Arizona, we went from our average house was selling for about $330,000 down to $110,000. I sold a $6,000 house. You're like, that was the earnest money? Like, how'd you get away with $6,000? No, that was the house, right? Let me just tell you, if you run a team and you try and figure out how the economics of that work, it doesn't work, right? So we have to understand it was brutal to go through there. And say, okay, well, let's just work harder. Again, go back to what I know. I know how to work hard. I'm going to go through, I'm going to go work harder. We're going to talk to more people. We're having to do that right now in this market. You have to talk to more people than you've ever talked to. That is the economics of the game. But there's ways to be able to condense that and collapse time, right? Because if everybody looks the same, what are people supposed to notice? What are they supposed to notice? So I had to create massive differences and massive marketing to be able to differentiate myself from everybody else. So in the crash of it, sold over 300 and something houses, but it was only about $50 million, right, in production with that. And you think, oh my gosh, right? You're going through that. But here's the deal, like my percentage on that to me was 5.9%, right? I know we're not supposed to talk about percentages and everything else, not what the total was. And the only reason I tell you that is, again, this is just credibility piece. When you use the marketing pieces, you get to determine your worth. When you become unignorable and you stay unignorable, the market decides your value. Money moves to differences, not to similarities. And if you're going to take a picture of anything here to remember, the money is in the gap. Hopefully you'll remember what this is later. The money is in the gap. If there's no gap, there's no money. And if you really are here to make money, the money is in the gap. People talk about all the time, oh, I'm going to get on social media, I'm going to do this, whatever. That's great. Those are amplifiers. If you do not create a gap, you will stay broke. Simple as that. And you're killing it right now, and you're like, oh, I'm just great. I can tell you why you're killing it, because you created a gap between you and the other competition. When you do that, you win. The bigger the gap, the bigger your life. So once you create a gap, you've got to continue to create a gap. And this is for everything, for our service providers on the outside, lenders, title companies, all this. It is the same thing, right? And people talk about, oh, our industry is regulated. We all have to offer the same things at the same prices. There's a lot of ways to be able to do that. So a lot of ways to be able to create a gap. Create a bigger gap, bigger your life, right? So you've got to create an unignorable gap between yourself and the competition. You've got to become a group of one. Because here's the reality. The industry, NAR, everybody wants us to be commodities, right? And then when they're commodities, they tell us we're price fixing. But they all want us to be commodities. They don't want you to step out of the box. You come to events, people want to dress the same. They want their cards to look the same. They all want to do these things because we all want to fit in. We all want to fit in. We're like, oh, I want to be so different, right? You go see a group of teenagers at the mall or whatever, and they're like, man, we're hood. We are so different than everybody else. I got jet black hair and loops in my ears and neck tattoos and my pants are down on my butt. And like, look how I'm against this. I'm like rebellious. And you look and they're hanging out with 10 people that look exactly like them. You're like, you're fitting in just with your group. We all fit in with our group. Find a better group. Find a group of people that are building different results, right? And so that's what you want. You do not want to be the average real estate agent. You do not want that. You do not want that, right? So create descriptive names about those. I'll talk a little bit about our marketing and some of the things with this, but you've got to create a different thing. So one of the things I did is I said, okay, well, let's look at our marketing. How do we get out of this? We can't get out of this market. This market's going to be horrible for a long time. What are some of the things? So I created a lot of guarantees and a lot of things that nobody else did because I wanted to create an unignorable gap between myself and what everybody else did, right? So you could start with, if you have no guarantees in your business, you have no gaps in your business, you can start with the simplest ones to be able to do that. One of the things I talked about is I wanted to be, you guys get this? I wanted to be a group of one, right? Right? I wanted to become a group of one. So how do you become a group of one? How do you become a group of one? You make up your own stuff, right? And so what I did is I created stuff that I knew I created that I knew someone else couldn't do because I created it, right? When I talked about even the talking house, it was kind of silly, but the reality was I said, is anybody else going to have Arnold Schwarzenegger talking about your house in the front yard? That was all I got, right? Yeah, they might have all these sales, whatever, but what do I got, right? If you're like, hey, Chris, I'm starting out, I'm poor, I'm whatever else, walk their dog. Hey, is anybody else going to walk your dog, right? If you know, like, I don't know, find something that nobody else does, right? So I started looking at it, and I just go, okay, what is the industry doing? I want to do something different. What's the industry doing? I want to do something different. Everything I would go to in the industry, they would talk about, oh, you know, here's the Zestimate, here's this, here's how your house is going to sell for, right? They come in, here's my CMA, right? So they meet with 4 agents, they all get a CMA. You're talking the same language, you're doing the same things, you're printing it out from the association or the MLS. Everything looks the same, feels the same, gets paid the same, which isn't good, right? So I created what I call the 22% price swing secret, which is really just looking at it and going, I mean, have you guys seen the same house in the same neighborhood sell for, like, all of a sudden you're like, why'd the house sell for that, right? And at the same time, maybe it's beautifully manicured and it's staged really well and marketed, and all of a sudden it sells for a little higher price, right? So you can't tell me that there's one price for a house. And so I would talk about there's a 22% price swing. Homes can sell for as much as 11% below and 11% above based on how you handle up to 168 different variables in the sale. So if you control more of the variables, if you do a better job, if you price it well, you take care of the inspections, everything early, we can be able to push it and take care of those things before we get into a negotiation phase, and we can actually get higher on the price swing, right? Some people might say, I just want to dump it. Okay, great. So you're choosing to sell towards the bottom of the price swing. Is that right? So again, they're making choices. And then what I could do is I'd be like, okay, so did anybody else explain how the price swing works? Or did they just tell you that this is what your house is valued at? Right? And again, I'm creating a gap. I'm creating some uncertainty in their life, right? I'm going to be great either way. I'm going to wash the dishes. Everybody's washing the dishes. That's not a value. Yeah, I'm nice. Great. Congratulations. Hope that works in your dating profile, right? It does not help you sell more houses, right? Strategically, as a group, right? So you got to come up with a way to be memorably different inside there. So conventional wisdom leads to conventional results. So again, I grew up in San Jose, California, but for 2 years, in 8th grade and freshman year, I moved up to Newcastle, and I went to Del Oro High School my freshman year, and I loved the 49ers. Growing up in the Bay Area, I loved them. Like, I ate, slept, drank. I was showing someone pictures the other day of all my class, like, growing up, and they're like, man, you're wearing a 49er shirt in every class picture. Well, first of all, they were hand-me-downs. It was all I could have, but yeah, I'm wearing Niner gear. I'm bang, bang. I'm running it, right? So we moved up here, and I was so excited. The 49ers were practicing up here in the summer. Even with my albino skin, I'm like, burn me up. I'll sit out there all day and watch them practice, right? So my stepmom would drop me off at Sierra College, and I would sit there all day, almost every day when they were up here watching the 49ers and just enjoying every piece of it. And if you guys know, if any of there's 49er fans, if you're not, sorry about that. But if you're 49er fans, you understand they were different at that time, right? Bill Walsh came in, and he had been in Cincinnati, and he had a quarterback that was good but didn't have a strong arm. And it was during a time when all the quarterbacks had really strong arms, and they would throw deep all the time, kind of stretch out the defense. Didn't have a quarterback with a strong arm. So he figured out a new way to be able to do it, came up with the West Coast offense to be able to do it because that's what he had. So he had a quarterback called Joe Montana, right? There you go, right? And he came out, and he was athletic, but he didn't have a strong arm. He was accurate, but he had Joe Montana. And guess what? He used a new system, the West Coast offense, to be able to go to multiple Super Bowls, right? To be able to do that. He did not build a better version of doing what everybody else did. He built a new category that everybody else had to copy. Do you guys get that? Like everybody else was playing a different game. They were trying to play football better. He decided to say, you know what? I'm just gonna create my own category. I'm just gonna be completely different. He goes down as a genius, multiple Super Bowls, fundamentally changed the NFL, right, in doing that. So don't become a better commodity. Don't become a better dishwasher, right? If that's that's my restaurant. I'm washing dishes, right? I'm telling you, you're going out of business. Okay, so I'm beating this because you guys have to understand this before we get into the technical how we do this. Because if you do not believe that you have to do it, you will not do it. You will leave here doing the same stuff, and then I have failed. I don't like to fail, right? I can't control you. If you choose to leave here today and not change anything in your business, that's fine. That's on you, right? I told you I would deliver value in how do we do this? Like, why do we do it? What do we have to do, and how do we do it? That's what we're getting into, right? You've got to change this, right? Walsh says, if you're all thinking alike, no one is thinking. That is our industry, folks. I know. I wish it was different too, right? So you can choose to just go through and just go to classes and just become a great agent, and it's going to take you 30, 40 years. It's going to take you 30, 40 years to get enough attention built up over time to be great. But what we want to do is we want to go to the front of the line, right? So everybody that wants to stay in the back of the line, you keep your hands down. Raise your hand if you guys want to go to the front of the line with me. That's pretty good. That's like 90% of the room. The other 10% like, nah, I got to suffer. No, I'm not sold yet. That's fine, right? Actually, it was probably about 80%. Another 10%, it was peer pressure. They're like, everyone's raising their hand. I guess I got to do it too. Money's in the gap. Create a gap. So you always got to ask yourself, look at your marketing, look at everything you're doing. Is there a gap? Am I different? If they can look at you and say, this is the same information I got from somebody else, this is the same pitch on the phone, the same everything. If anybody else could do that, someone from Coldwell Banker, Century 21, Keller Williams, EXP, all these different, wherever it is, if you can do and say the same thing, you are a commodity. And by definition, if you are a commodity, you will only be judged on price, right? Everybody wants to get mad and say, they beat me up on commission and they did all these other things. I'm like, well, what was different? Don't allow them to do that, right? If you leave an appointment and you say, I lost the listing because they went with someone else for the cheaper commission, there's going to be about 10% of the people that are price conscious, right? There's nothing you're going to do. They are going to go with the cheapest person. Nothing you're going to do. But I'll tell you this, there's also about 10% of the people that you could say, my commission is 10 giraffes. I don't know, whatever it is, right? And they're going to go, oh, that's the best one? I want that one. They want the premium. They want the best of everything, right? But the middle section is going to be like, what are you different? So if you leave an appointment thinking, I lost because of the commission, it's because you didn't create a big enough gap, right? So if you're all the same, you're going to be paid the same. So here's how I applied this. So clients don't pay for maybes. They pay a premium for certainty. So what type of certainty do you have in your business? So I created something called the no-risk home sale. That was one of the things that I created an 89-step no-risk home sale system. That was what got me into Realtor Magazine, right? This is what continued to build this, and this helped me build a team. This helped me dominate. I built on the buyer side and also the seller side. And you can look at this is fine. The biggest thing I want you to change in your mind, like what can you do? Because you could copy this, but then again, now we're 2 of us or 3 of us, and that's fine, right? This will help you win. But I promise when you make it your own, you're untouchable. Because the idea is you want to be one, a group of one. So what I did is I created a $10,000 marketing and full exposure guarantee. Like, what's that? Exactly. When we get together, I'll go through and explain it to you. Has anybody else told you? Has anybody else offered you that? No? Okay, well, make sure you don't sign a listing with someone else till you know about that. You guys understand? Everything that you're doing, you should be able to take any piece of this and be able to differentiate yourself, right? So what I did is I just said, okay, here's all the things I do marketing, knowing there are other people in the industry, even if they do a great job, they don't explain it. Right? I say, here's all the places your home's going to get marketed. Here's all this other stuff I'm going to do. I'm going to come up with some other ways to be able to market in video and all kinds of things that other people can't do. And I knew I did that. And I went through and I figured out there was about 4 or 5 people in my market that could actually do what I was doing. Right? So there really wasn't any. So the chances of me going up against them, and I put in a couple of things that were specific just to my team that we could make sure, hey, you know what? I've got a team of 40 people that if you call anytime, we're going to make sure that we're out there. We've got a fast action guarantee. We'll make sure we're out showing someone your house. within a half hour, depending on where you're at, right? Offering things like that. And you could say, well, I'm a single agent. Well, then I would use that against me, right? I'm going to take every call personally, whatever that is. Find out whatever it is that you're doing. So I just created a $10,000 marketing guarantee. I said, if anybody else can do what I'm doing at the same price I'm doing it, I will give you $10,000 off your commission. I will give you $10,000 cash if you go and you fire me and you go with them and they actually do what they said. I will give you $10,000 cash. Never had to do it. Why? Because I knew they couldn't or wouldn't. Had one person try, the other people, they didn't tell the truth. They couldn't do it, right? And so understanding what you're talking about, price match plus $1,000 cash, I just saw Staples do that one time. I was like, they're like, price match plus $10 or something. I was like, what is that about? And it's like, well, if you find someone else that's doing this at the same price, so understand, doing the same thing. If you've created your own marketing plan, what are the chances that someone else has the exact same marketing plan? Do you guys get that? Very little, very little. So I said, if anybody else can do this at the same price or better, right? Because maybe somebody else could do it, but maybe they were charging, 8 giraffes. I don't know what they're charging. They were doing something else, right? So you're creating something that only you can offer. And when you become a group of one, you can dominate everything. Every one of you guys could be offering a 1-day, no-risk listing cancellation guarantee. We all know that if a client called up and was just complaining bad enough, you didn't want to work with them, you'd cancel the contract and get rid of them. We all know that, right? But do you tell people that? Right? I say every day I'm going to work. Every day you're starting out with a fresh listing experience. I have to earn your business every single day. Right? So here's the deal. If you choose agent A that you met with and they want a 6-month agreement, what if you're 2 weeks in and all of a sudden you realize that what they were telling you wasn't accurate? Are you willing to risk your home sitting on the market for another 5.5 months while you wait for that contract to unlock? Or are you willing to take a chance with me to be able to go through and every day I have to earn your business? Which one sounds better to you? Right? So understand you could go through and do this, right? Love it or leave it, no pressure guarantee. Hey, you buy this house, you get in, you don't know about the barking dog or the late night parties of the neighbor next to you. Here's the deal. I will work and I will get you into a new home here and I won't get paid at all. Right? About every year out of selling 400 houses a year, we do about one of those. So I work for free, if you will, but guess what? They buy another house. We actually get paid on that one, right? We don't get paid on selling their house on this piece of it. Is that worth the risk to go in to get a much better opportunity with everybody else? Yes, and it's a better experience because, again, people pay a premium for certainty. And do you think buyers are uncertain when they're moving into an area and they don't know about it? They are. They're scared. They don't want to make a mistake. So come up with ways to be able to do that. So again, just different ways to be able to do that. Created a no-risk home sale guarantee inside there. I went through when everyone was running out to houses and everything like that. And again, I'm not bragging about it. I'm just telling you, my mind thinks in a way that how do I can be different? Everybody's doing this. I don't care. We're going to do this, right? Everybody was going out to houses. I was like, man, I don't think we should go out to people's houses anymore. And I ran into a guy, and he goes, yeah, I was so busy. I said, you know what? I can't take any more appointments. If they want to meet with me, they got to come to the office. I'm done. I just can't do it. And he goes, the next thing you knew, my assistant was like, okay, you got an appointment at 2 o'clock and at 3 o'clock and at 4 o'clock. He's like, what are you talking about? I can't go out. I don't have time. He's like, oh, no, they're coming in the office. Their assistant just didn't know that you couldn't do that, right? He's like, what are you talking about? They're like, oh, I just told them, come on into the office. And so they're coming in the office. I was like, that is the craziest thing ever. I was like, well, are we allowed to do that? Like, what can we? I'm like, then let's do that. Everybody else is doing this. I want to do this. So one year, we did 1,600 in-office appointments. 1,600 people driving as far as 2 hours one way to come in to meet with us. Do you know why? Because I just told you, is anybody else offering this? No? Okay, great. Well, the next step is to get together here in our office and review the findings of our research. We're going to go through and do a lot of research. We'll get together, just like when you go meet with the dentist. Dentist doesn't come out to your house. We're going to get together. We're going to go over and show you what our research found. Like, well, don't you need to come to our house? No, come on into our office, and obviously at some point we'll make sure that if you choose to hire us, we'll absolutely go out to your house. And people are like, okay. 1,600 people, right? So we got to get out of our own mind and start thinking about what's happened, right? One of the things I do, I'd send them a follow-up video. I'd say, if any time you feel like I've wasted your time, I'm going to give you $100 cash. If you drive into my office and you just don't feel like I absolutely brought incredible value, I'll give $100 cash. Do you know how many times I had to do that? 0. I like money, and I would have done it, but everyone's like, dang, that was really good, right? Creating an offer that nobody else had. Now, we didn't get hired all the time, right? We were about 78% signing percentage inside there. But the idea is that we positioned ourselves completely different. I was meeting with one of the Arizona Cardinals, who was super famous at the time. He came into our office, right? And I was talking to him. Actually, it was one of my listing people that was talking to him. But I wanted to come in and meet him because I was like, sounds good. It's not a 49er, but it's still kind of good, right? Super cool guy. So I started talking to him. He stands up. He was so excited to meet me, right? And like that. And I was like, this is whacked, right? And he's like, dude, you get more publicity than I do, right? Which was not even close to true. But in his narrow mind, right, we were going at that same thing. So you can create an opportunity inside there. So a lot of other people, we just barely had a bunch of open door, offer pad, buy my house, all the things like that, right? Tons of all kinds of people. You guys get them as well. And all the agents in our area were going, hey, you know what? That's a lie. They're not gonna buy your house, or they're gonna buy your house, and then when you get in the inspection, they're gonna dump it like they're gonna offer you 20% less, this is true, right? We know that's true, but that's not a winning argument, right? They had so much media attention, that they changed the public's belief about it. They believed they could get an offer. So you've got the entire industry in my area that was yelling at people saying, it's a lie, they won't do it. And yet they're seeing on the news that that they're buying houses. So what do they believe? They believe the person that has the most attention. So I said, you know what? That's not a winning argument. And I said, you know what? So yes, offer pad's gonna make them an offer. Okay, that's true. Open door is gonna make them an offer. Everything else, and I was like, but I offer to buy people's houses. That's me, that's 3. I was like, Tony will offer him a house, so he'll make an offer on the house. There's this investment group over here that has like 4 different wholesale buyers that can do it. They Wall Street backed. And so, you know what? And so I went through and I figured out I could get someone up to 18 offers on their house. So my dialogue changed from, instead of nobody's going to make an offer on your house, to why would you want to meet with someone that can only offer you 1 offer when I can get you up to 18, and you have to hope that this one is the jackpot? Wouldn't you rather see all of the up to 18 offers? Great. Is it better at 4 o'clock or 5? Let's get real. So change your dialogue. Look at stuff a little bit different, right? So just an idea. Again, I'm not bragging. I'm just trying to tell you, you've got to create an environment of 1, a group of 1. Same thing. People would come into our open houses, and everybody else would just, hey, come in, take a look at the house. Let me know how it is. Sign in and get some cookies. I was like, man, this is miserable. I am not doing an open house. First of all, I just wasn't going to do an open house. But I was like, if I was, what would I want? I'm like, I've got the right buyer. These people are amazing. Even the nosy neighbors, I'm like, there's some value in there. What are they going to see? So we started showing up with big screen TVs, put a crap load of signs out, which Brent taught me 20 years ago to put out the big yellow signs. You guys know that, right? Love him. He's made me so much money by doing that. We'd put all the signs out, drive them in. We'd put signs all over inside the house about our guarantees and offers. Again, different than what everybody else was doing. But then I'd also say, you know what? If you're interested, I can show you how I can save you at least $5,000 on your home purchase if you watch this 5-minute video. Yeah. So do you make more than $5,000 every 5 minutes? If not, let's watch this video, right? And we would watch it, and he would talk about the buyer guarantees. I'd be like, hey, does that sound like something you're looking for? And I also knew I could have new agents that come in that I could be able to leverage what they're doing by doing that. So hopefully that makes sense, right? So attention, that's what we're doing, right? So we go from invisible to creating a gap to attention. Attention's important inside here. So we've gone through the industrial age, the information age, now we're in the attention age. Information's everywhere. You've got AI, you've got all kinds of information's everywhere. Attention's rare, right? There's a difference. And here's the reality. Even the people that are mad about what I've just talked about visibility, you're being judged right now. I'm being judged. We're all being judged right now. You're like, no, just you. You're the one on stage with the lights. You're being judged too. Every one of us. You're being judged by the size of your digital following and audience. You get ready to go on an appointment tonight at 5 o'clock. I can tell you, they are Googling you to see what your reviews are, what pops up on social media, and if you have any followers. If you've got 80 followers and 40 of them are your family and their pets, you're telling them you're not worth following. Okay, and I'm not saying to go out and get fake followers or anything else like that. I'm just telling you, all of us are judged, and that's okay where we're at. We all start at ground zero. So even if you're like, I hate social media, I love you. I hate it too, right? But there's a way to use it to make money. And we already agreed that's why we're here. Good people shouldn't stay invisible. If you're great at your craft, you're a great person, why would you be invisible? Why would you let someone that's not as cool a person as you, that would give them a worse experience, that would not save them money and why would you let them win because you chose to be shy? Right? Shy salespeople have really skinny kids, okay? It's not good. So they have to be aware of you before they know, like, and trust you. The best known beats the best. Again, beating that horse, but you've got to believe that. If you do not believe that, you won't go through the work I'm about to talk about right here, right? Nobody owes you attention, not because you're nice, not because you're experienced, nothing. Most people think they have a lead problem. Curtis, that's all fine and good. Show me how to get more leads. You don't have a lead problem, you've got an attention problem, right? You need more people to pay attention to you. Someone less qualified is building a platform, they're building a business right now, less qualified than you. You don't need more leads, you need more attention, because more attention creates more trust, more referrals, more opportunities. It condenses the sales cycle. You've got to understand that. And I hate it. I hate the attention piece too, but we have to understand that if we understand the rules of the game, this is how we win, right? Again, I'm not teaching you to chase attention. I'm teaching you to deserve it, right? Again, everybody's got a personal brand. What are you doing to manage it? Oscar Wilde says the only thing worse than being talked about is not being talked about, right? The only thing worse than being so busy in your business is not being busy, right? So again, just like you guys, I hated social media. I didn't have, when I first started, I mean, obviously when I first started, we didn't have anything. I didn't have Facebook, Instagram. But when I started with EXP, building an organization, everyone's like, oh, you got to dance on Instagram. I'm like, I don't even know what Instagram. I'm like, I don't even know what that is. I don't even want to play the game. I didn't get it. I didn't like it, right? Facebook, I was like, I just use that to message a few people. Then I realized the power of what these are. These are just ways to be able to exponentially talk to more people, right? So I felt they were intrusive, just everything. It was a horrible experience. I was like, so you're telling me you tell people where you went to dinner? Like, I don't get it. Like, and they care? Like, really, you put, I'm going to dinner, and I go, and like, I'm like, wait, and they don't block you? Like, what is going on? Like, what world do we live in, right? So if you're like, I hate it, I don't want to do this, I'm your people, right? I don't like it, but I do like money more than I just like being uncomfortable, right? So I'm going to just share a few things that I discovered to really turn into something called digital body language into an asset. Because we all have digital body language, right? We have digital assets inside there. So it's something I call attention arbitrage. And arbitrage is when we take advantage of something between what it is and what it is over here that you can be able to create this, attention arbitrage inside there. So there's 4 ways to get attention. You could take the long method. Everybody right here, we're all building attention. Even if you're like, I'm not doing social media, I'm not doing anything else, we're all building attention. It's just going to be, is it going to be slow or fast? But we're all building attention. Is it going to take you 30 years? Maybe. But we're all building it. The things that can really amplify it is when you borrow it, you buy it, and then eventually you become attention inside there. So you build it. That's, again, you're creating your own platform, what you believe in, people, past clients as you go through there. Borrowing it is when you use someone else's audience. Buying it is when you pay for distribution. It could be Google ads. It could be running, paying for on Instagram. It could be doing that. It could be paid endorsements. Could be things like that. But eventually, if you do enough of that, the tables flip, and then all of a sudden you become the attention that other people want to be around, right? When I first started, I was like, I wanted to hang around. I started realizing social media, and I accidentally, one time, I was doing something, and I tagged someone else, and all of a sudden, all these people were commenting. I was like, they're not even my friends. What is going on? I didn't understand the algorithm. I didn't understand how it worked. I was like, what? How did they even see this, right? And then I started realizing the more famous person I tagged, more people cared. And then I was like, well, if I start doing pictures with people that are famous, that are important, people ate it up. And I was like, this is too easy. They didn't care about me, but then eventually people care about you. Like, no offense, right? Even before we started, I had probably 15 people want to take pictures of me. Not because I'm anything special, but because my name was up on a sign, right? We love celebrity. We love endorsement. We love people because we look at our phones and we were conditioned from when we were kids looking at a TV that we see anybody that's on a TV, that person is a celebrity. And it translates to our phone, translates all across, and you can do that as well. So here's what you've got to understand. Take a picture of this, right? You've got to understand you are no longer a consumer of social media, right? You are a producer of social media. And this changes the entire game because, like, I'd interview agents and I'd be saying, tell me about your social media strategy. And they go, oh my gosh, I love social media. It's amazing. I'm on all day. And I was like, go tell me about it. What are you doing? Oh my gosh, you should tell me. Show me your favorite groups and all this stuff. I'm like, no, tell me about what's your strategy. Not that you scroll social media. And I was like, they're like, oh my gosh. I even hired, at one point a long time ago, I was like, okay, I don't want to do this. I hate social media. Why don't I feel like I'm young. Let me hire someone super young that they just love this crap and they can come in and they could do it. And I don't have to log in. I don't have to do all that stuff. I could do the stuff that really matters, right? And I'd interview them, and they'd come in and tell me about it. And I'm like, okay, what do you got? And they would just tell me about what they scroll all day. And I was like, is this real? Is this real? So many agents feel that somehow they're social media savvy because they look at other people's attention. This is the key right here. You are no longer a consumer of social media. You are a producer of social media. We all have a digital sphere of influence, and proximity is power. Digital proximity is leveraged power. So we all have a sphere of influence, but guess what? You also have a digital sphere of influence. People that know, like, and trust you online to be able to do that. And every day you need to be expanding that. You're not on social media to make sales, right? Putting out there, here's a new listing, come buy this listing. You're not on, yes, you can have a little bit of that. You're on social media to make friends. Friends buy from friends, right? You got to understand that. Selling is just aligning with the people that believe the same as you. So when you put stuff out there about yourself and it doesn't align, that's okay. Those are not your friends. That's okay, right? The stronger the belief, the stronger the attention towards you. So you got to ask yourself, can people tell what you believe by following you on social media, right? If all you do is post listings and whatever, I can tell you they're blocking you and they're unfriending you because they're not interested. And only 4% of the people at any one time are interested in that, right? Nobody wants to see that. They want to see signs of success, right? They want to see you got results. But can people really believe? Can they believe who you are, what you are? That's what they want to be around. They want to understand that. So if you pull up your social media, you don't have to do it right now, but do it when you're not logged in. Because so many times we look at our feed or whatever, but you're logged in, and it shows you different. So log out and look at it as if a client that you're going to go meet with tonight at 6 o'clock, what are they going to see? I can tell you, people all the time, Curtis, I want to build a big organization or whatever. And we pull up, I go, okay, log out, pull up your Facebook account or your Instagram account. And what does it look like? And I'm like, I don't even know what company you work for. It looks like you sell candles and play with puppies, but I don't even know. Are you a real estate agent? I have no idea what you do, right? So you've got to understand, what are they seeing? Because how we're perceived determines how we are received. You've got to win the conversation before you get in the room. I can tell you, mom and dad are having that conversation before you get there at 6 o'clock or whatever. They're saying, okay, what we'll do, what we won't do, what they're looking for. They're having that conversation. You've got to win that conversation. You win that conversation, it doesn't matter how good you are at the appointment. You've got to win that appointment. You've got to win that before you get in there. Digital attention isn't broadcasting, it's relationship building, right, as you go through this. And here's the deal, you don't always have to create and build attention. You can just redirect it. And I'm going to give you some examples of this. So borrow existing attention and convert it to authority. Because when you're authority, you get to make the deals. You get to determine what your fee is, what your value is. You get to determine if you want someone to join your team, not begging someone to be able to do that. You get to decide if you want to be in business with someone when you are the attention. So stand where the megaphone already is inside there. So I like to read books and stuff, and I'm fascinated by spies. I don't like fiction or whatever, but I like to figure out why people did stuff. And I was reading this book about one of the best spies, and he was talking about his strategy, how like they would go into Europe and, you know, they would get this person to turn against their country and give them all this information, someone that loved their country, and do this, and you're like, how in the world do they do this? Are they just so good at sales? This is amazing. I want to know how you do this. How do you, because I'm like, if you can flip someone that works for the government, that puts their life on the line, you can get them to go on your side. There's got to be something in there, right? And long story short, really what do? They figure out where the person's at. They figure out where they go get coffee at. And for weeks and months, they'll just sit in the corner with a newspaper, and they'll just sit there. And the person will come in, and they'll get a little familiar with them. That maybe after a couple months, they might throw away the newspaper at the same time, and they might make eye contact with them and just nod at them, right? A few more months, they might smile at them. A few more months of every day of just building this rapport with them, if they're just getting comfortable with them. And then what happens is eventually they talk to them, and they said almost every time the person knew that they were a spy over time because they could see them doing it, yet it broke them down because they became familiar. They became familiar, and even they were willing to have a conversation because they were familiar. But yet if they just walked up to and said, hey, here's a bunch of money, betray your country, they would say no. But because they became in their circle, they became around them, they got attention. So you got to get in their world, I'm not telling you to betray your country. Do not do that. Bad thing, right? But get around the type of clients that you want, right? Here's a quick story. Josh Altman, for $1 million listing, one of the examples he talked about is he sold an $11 million home to actor Tyler Perry in less than 10 hours. He made $12 million, a $12 million sale to someone he met in line at Starbucks. I know what you're thinking. You're like, okay, a lot of people say, well, that's just lucky. That's just because you are in the right place at the right time. The truth is that I go to that same Starbucks every morning for one reason, and it's not the coffee. It's not the coffee. I know the type of clientele that I'm trying to go after. I know that all the rich people and celebrities in Beverly Hills go there. So I'm putting myself in a situation where I choose to be lucky and not just random luck. He's creating his own luck. He saw Tyler Perry at the gym. He was scared. He didn't want to go up to him, right? Josh, he's famous too. He's like, fine, I'm going to go up. And he said, you know what? I'm just going to do it. And he went up to him. By 10 a.m., Perry's showing, Altman's showing Perry's future house. 4 p.m., he has an offer on this house. At 5 p.m., he closes the deal for $11 million. The majority of people in situations like that will say, forget it, I'm not going to do it. He went out and he created his own luck, right? Are you going to create your own luck? Are you going to get around? Let's say you're focusing on golf properties. Are you putting yourself in those things? Are you golfing there? Are you putting yourself in the country club? Are you doing these things? You want to work with first-time home buyers? Where do they go? Right? If you want to just, what do you want your business to be? If you're like, man, I love pickleball. I want to just sell all the pickleball people. Then hang out with where do all the pickleball players go? Probably the ER. I don't know, right? But you got to go where they're at, because here's the deal. When we start out as unknown and we go up to authority, resistance drops when you become around them. When your attention goes up, the resistance goes down, right? The speed of the sale gets faster. You get more referrals and you get more trust. I'm telling you, this is everything inside here. So here's the deal. People go, what's the one thing you should do? This. Every day your job is to increase the size of your audience. Every day. Your audience is what? People that could be in your sphere, your email list, Facebook, Instagram. I don't TikTok. I don't do all that stuff. Whatever your audience is. Every day. Because here's the deal. As people consume your information, they're stepping towards you. They're like little crumbs that they're getting towards you. Little crumbs. And that's what you want. You're putting crumbs out there. So being different doesn't matter if nobody knows that you're different. And it compounds. The more you do this, it compounds on itself day after day. So if you're like, do it, and I'm like, man, I've done this for 3 days. Freaking Curtis lied to me. Right? No. Right? Is it compounds day after day, year after year. And again, people don't follow information, they follow conviction. Share what you are convicted about. I hope you feel my passion when I talk about this. I believe this. I couldn't be up here just making this stuff up, because you'd be like, something feels off. So you've got to figure out what you really believe. And unignorable is a decision. You can choose to still be unignorable. You can choose to be invisible, right? I want you to be unignorable. So what happens? So now you've gone through, Curtis, I'm in. Let's build some attention. I'm going to start posting. I've created a gap. I've created, this is what they do, this is what I do, and I'm starting to get loud. I'm starting to get attention. What do? Well, attention by itself is not enough. Attention gets you recognized. Influence gets people to act. And trust determines whether they follow you, right? So people go, okay, so you want me to get famous? Well, that's not the goal. Freedom is. Freedom. We're not doing this so you can have this huge group of followers, so then what, right? The idea is to get to freedom. That's what we want to be able to do, right? Fame isn't dancing on TikTok. That's not what this is. Fame is leverage, right? Celebrity is interest in following you, right? People go, like, Josh Altman, right? Celebrities don't eliminate selling. They eliminate resistance. So if you want to have more resistance in your sales business, you want to make things harder, you want to have a lower signing percentage, you want to have to do more appointments and more phone calls, just be invisible. Don't demand attention. If you want to figure out, like, man, why do they always get so lucky? Because they've built up their brand to the point that everything's easier. They can make less phone calls. They can do less appointments. They can charge dramatically more because they're worth it. So the next time someone asks you to cut your fee, you need to think about that and say, you know what, they're telling me there's not a big enough gap and I haven't created enough attention, right? Celebrity adjacency, right? Borrow the stage. It's faster. So proximity creates familiarity. Again, build attention. We're all doing that. Borrow, buy, and become attention, right? One of the things, initially I started buying attention, right? Working with Barbara Corcoran inside here. But when I'd have experiences and spend time with celebrities, I started posting about it and doing it and bringing it to appointments. And what that did is that amplified what I was talking about, gave it, credibility, if you will. So when you're around people, like Brent Gove's amazing. If you want to build an organization of people and you're not taking pictures with Brent all the time or people like that, you're just missing it. Because he's a celebrity. When I was first building my organization with Jay Kinder, I think was last month, every time I was with Jay or Brent, I was taking pictures of them. Why? Because my target was no longer buyers or sellers. We sell a lot of houses. I'm playing a different game now, right? My thing is I want to bring attention to agents. And so what are agents? Agents like other agents. They want celebrity agents, right? So going through, you could know, like, or trust Sean Hannity, Glenn Beck, or whatever. Guess what? They work with a lot of people that have a lot of money. So it doesn't matter, if I believe their politics or whatever. When you're around people like that, that's what you want to be able to do. You want to spend time with people that amplify this, okay? So when you get a chance to be around them, you amplify that. You go through and you look for opportunities. You find where people are going to be and you go spend time with them. You pay to go to masterminds. You do whatever it is, but then you make sure that you capture that and you amplify it and you create attention, because guess what? As you build attention and you kind of co-op with them, it increases where you're at as well. Does that kind of make sense a little bit, right? By spending time like Robert Kiyosaki, all of a sudden people go, oh, I didn't think you were very cool before, but now you must be. Like, people go through and like, oh, Dave Ramsey or different stuff. I can tell you, as we're doing this, you're thinking higher of me even if you don't like them. Because we love celebrity. We love celebrity as we go through. Jay Abraham, Michael Gerber, Tim inside here. So eventually, and again, this isn't bragging, I'm just telling you that this system works and it can work for anybody. You become the attention, right? As you go through, you become the attention where then other people are wanting to come spend time with you, and then you help build organizations if you want or anything else like that, okay? So, influence and trust. Visibility and attention aren't the goal. Influence and trust is, right? Again, they don't always buy the best. They buy the one that has the most trust, the most certainty inside there, okay? So we understand that. We talked about winning that before you get in the room with them. So every post, every interview, everything that you post stacks authority. Authority, it compounds just like money, right? The sooner you get going with this. You're no longer a consumer of social media. You are a producer of social media inside there. So I told you, you could just AI a lot of the stuff I'm talking about. It's not worth it, right? You need to become more of who you are, right? You've got to do that. So when you post and discuss who you are and not just what you did. So if you were up on stage in front of 5,000 people, what would your message be? Here's a listing, right? We have these free platforms that let you go out into, you can create friends, right? Like these are opportunities. Zuckerberg built us an incredible marketing thing that we don't have to pay for. It's insane, right? But people are either drawing closer to you or further away based on that. So understand what your avatar is. I talked about that. If you're going to work and go after golfing areas, a lot of your posts should be about golf because guess what? That's entertaining. If you're an influencer and you want to attract more influencers, you want to build an organization, you want to build a team, whatever that is, understand who you're looking for and become the funnel. So here's the deal. What should I post today? That's what most people ask. What should I post today? I'm going to tell you a trick, right? We're going to go through an exercise. I don't think we've got enough time to do the exercise, but you guys are the advanced group still? We still here? Raise your hand if you're the advanced group. We lost about a third of the group. Third of the group went down to Boringville over here. All right, let's try it again. Who's the advanced group? All right, there we go. All right, advanced group is going to do, you're going to get some homework to be able to do, right? To understand this. But stop asking, what should I post today? And start asking, what is everybody already talking about today? And what do I believe about it? Ideally, right, it's a daily news machine. Ideally, every morning before 9 o'clock, you go out and you find a headline, something that happened. Interest rates went up, interest rates went down. It doesn't matter, whatever it is. Ideally, something that a celebrity did. I don't know, Brad Pitt sold his house, or Demi Moore did this, or what. People love celebrity. Find out what it is. And here's what the deal. Broke agents will do what? They will tell you what happened. Hey guys, interest rates went down. Call me. I'm like, Baroque. Hey, the Fed met. They don't even know what the Fed is, right? But the Fed met, interest rates dropped, or interest rates went up. Call me. Like, what, man? What are you talking about, right? Broke agents tell you what happened. Great agents, agents that are crushing it, that have choices that are the attention, they say, here's what happened. Here's what you need to know about this, right? Here's what's going to happen, and here's what you should do now, right? When you do that, but you've got to find the emotion. Then you connect it to housing inside here. Then you create a reel, a post, email, a story, a short, whatever that is, whatever you feel comfortable. You've got to start doing this. But you've got every day, we have free marketing out there. Just go find what's going on. And instead of, what should I post today? Look, do you want a bidet or a regular toilet? Like, okay, that's great for the 4% of people that are actively looking. Totally get it. Your job is to create attention so that when they're ready, they think of you because you're bringing some value to them. Does that make sense? Okay, you can go through and be able to. That's a daily news machine with that. So what shows up in your calendar consistently are your habits. So we were going to build one, but we don't need to. You might take a picture of this if you want, but you're going to go out. You're going to find the headline. You're going to identify the emotion. Connect it to real estate. Anything can be connected to real estate. You write a hook, deliver some of your insight on it, which infers that you have insight, right? Because you're great. You're a great dishwasher. We have insight, right? And then you can call to action occasionally. And I just go through, I went and created just some different headlines, things that I've used in the past to be able to go through. If you want to take a picture of this, you can. But again, this is mostly to spur your idea. You can actually go to ChatGPT and say, give me some headlines or whatever. But the idea is, every day, you should not be asking what I should be posting. What is going on that everybody already cares about? You can go into Google and say, what are the 10 top biggest stories? And then what you do is, don't be the broke agent and say, this is what happened. Right? There's a war with Iran or whatever. Okay, that's great. Fine, whatever. Be broke. Or you take that and you say, what you need to know about housing, right? And again, if you're looking for buyers, you're going to be talking about buyers, right? If you're talking about trying to get sellers, you're going to do that. If you're talking about trying to get sellers at a golf area, you're going to talk about that. Or if you're going to be like, hey, my target is going after real estate agents, then you're going to make it about that. Does that make sense a little bit? So again, some ideas of what, like, here, blank just happened. Here's what no one's telling others, how this is going to impact real estate agents or buyers or the golf community. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Whatever your avatar is your avatar, right? Hey, the headlines are saying this, but here's what I'm seeing on the ground, right? It's making you be the expert inside here. So again, find some celebrities if you can. That's the fastest way to be able to do that. Find somebody that, if you're looking to build a team, hey, you went and saw me today or whatever, and here's a couple insights I had, right? Because some people take pictures and they'll be like, at a real estate event, and they're like, wow, right? But you say, I went to this real estate event, And they were talking about this, and here's what other real estate agents should know about this. And you go and you post about that, and guess what? It doesn't take very long to get a lot of attention, right? This is the same thing. I'm just telling you guys, this is the cheat code for working with buyers, working with sellers, building a team. If you want to build an organization, I use these same strategies to do Facebook Lives, and I built an organization of over 11,000 people, okay, inside here. I'm not incredible. I'm just kind of observant. And I'm like, this is what people want, and you sometimes have to be able to do that. So again, some more headlines, but these are just ideas to help you kind of getting the juices flowing just a little bit. So when you're thinking about posting, instead of thinking, oh my gosh, I don't want to post, got it. This is your digital body language. What is it saying about you? We know when someone walks in, they've got a body language. When someone walks in, how does Brent Gove walk into a room? Everyone's like, oh, I want to just hug him, right? He's amazing. His dad's amazing. Everyone's amazing. I love them. You've got a digital body language too. What is it saying about you? If all you do is complain about stuff, talk politics, all of that, like people are like, man, repellent, right? Talk about what they want. And so tell them what happened, and then you've got to bring that into your expertise. When you do that, you just become amazing super fast, right? Tag other people if you want. Like, hey, this is what I learned from, whatever, Brad Pitt did this. I don't even know if he did or not. I'm just making that up, right? But there's stuff going on every day. Every day you can pull up celebrity stuff. Every day you can go through and do this, right? Does that make sense a little bit? So that's your homework, to go make those posts, but don't just say what happened. You've got to go through, right? Because again, if you're not top of mind, you're out of mind. Become the brand they can't scroll past. We're getting there. I'm telling you. All right. So we're still in the advanced group, or anyone leave again? All right. Look to your neighbor and say, I'm done being invisible. Man, that was boring. Let's try it again. Come on. I'm done being invisible. All right. There you go. Well, why didn't you do it the first time? Oh, I didn't want to be judged by something. You're already being judged. You're already being judged. Don't be boring, right? So again, open your phone, go back and do that tonight. Create some influence. Let's talk about the last thing. We've gone through. We've gone from and said, you know what? No longer am I going to be invisible. I'm going to create a gap. I create a gap in my business. I'm going to make sure I create attention, and the attention is going to give me influence and trust. And now you're like, I'm becoming the brand. I'm with her. So what can I do with this? You could do a lot of things. You could be a professional TikTok dancer. You could do whatever you want. You could build a team. You could build leverage. You could do all these things. I got into real estate because I wanted freedom. I wanted to work. Yeah, I did really want to work less. I didn't work less, but that's what I wanted, right? But now I have freedom, and I'm not bragging, but I can do what I want, when I want, where I want, with who I want, for as long as I want. That's freedom. And it's only because of following this, and everybody here can have the same opportunity to be able to do that. Friend of mine, Ryan Stuman, he says opportunity doesn't go away. We're like, oh, opportunity comes and opportunity goes. No, it doesn't. It just goes to someone else. So someone in this room is going to make some changes about stuff, and it's going to change their life. So can I share a story about growing up and really just kind of showing the power of something starting out, borrowing attention of a company, and then really kind of eventually becoming the attention and creating brand ownership and massive freedom. You guys okay if I share a story? 4 of you? Okay. I'm like, you're here like another 15 minutes. Like, come on, you want to hear a story or not? Okay. Well, just go, fine, keep asking. No, okay, all right. So, all right, grew up in San Jose. So, summer of 1984, I'm 12 years old, just turned 12, working my paper out, trying to save up money. If you guys remember the Olympics, Carl Lewis was amazing in that. Michael Jordan won the gold medal in basketball. It was amazing. We, as a country, we loved it. We're like, we love each other. This is amazing. It's so incredible. My stepdad worked for the San Jose Mercury News, so everybody was required to have a paper out. And so I had a paper out, and everyone had to read the newspaper about stuff that was going on. And I'd save up my money, and I would buy baseball cards, and I would love to go down to Princeton Plaza Mall, which is about 2 blocks away. And I would just go through, and I would look at the shoes. I loved shoes. I was like, oh, just gaga. And so I'd go down there like a couple times a week and just walk through, buy some baseball cards, buy like one for like 25 cents. And then I'd walk by the Kenny shoes. I'd look at the shoes and I'd be like, oh my gosh, I want to get me some of those. Like, that's baller, right? And they'd go through the NBA stuff. And in my room, actually, I just found it like 2 weeks ago. I had a picture of Magic Johnson up in the corner of my room. I loved it. I didn't like Larry Bird, but I liked Magic Johnson. I was like, Converse is incredible. And I was like, just idolized him, right? So I go down to Kenny Shoes, and I'm in there looking around, and I kind of look over on the side, and I'm like, man, that guy looks like Mike Jordan. And I look over, I'm like, he just barely won a national championship in North Carolina. I look over, I look at his name tag, it says Mike. And I'm like, really? And so I kind of go up to him, and I'm like, hey, what are you doing here selling shoes? And he's like, well, we started talking for a while, and he goes, well, it's really too late. I really wanted a Converse deal, but, Larry and Magic, they already locked up Converse, and they already got the contracts for that. And we talked a little while later, and he's like, the NBA right now, there's a lot of drug problems going on. There's all kinds of weird stuff that's going on. And my cousin owns a store, just kind of some security, till I figure out what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do. I might go in the draft. I don't really know what I'm going to do. Just kind of feel like I'm just left out. And I'm like, dude, like, Mike, you are going to be the greatest basketball player ever. I'm like, do you not understand this? And so I took him out to the rec center, and I'm like, Mike, come on, catch, right? I'm like, hit some shots, right? So we're going through, we're doing this, and he's getting better and better, right? I'm working with him and stuff like that. And even his agent said I couldn't even get him to get on the damn plane to visit the campus to go up and meet with Nike. Couldn't even get him to go on the plane, right? And so he finally went to his mom, talked to his mom, and his mom said, you know what, Mike, you're going to go listen. So he went and listened to Nike because someone he loved and respected asked him to, right? And I'll just say, I know this is brand agnostic, but I'll just tell you, Brent changed my life. I didn't want to look at EXP, right? And someone I trust, he asked me to. But guess what? So Mike went up there, met with them, and boom, he like snapped out of it, right? And he's like, you know what, Curtis? I get it. I'm going all in. What if I didn't just get paid a salary, right, just to wear the shoes? What if I became the brand and got paid revenue share off each shoe sold? I was like, okay, that sounds good. So he went and he signed the contracts. He went through and he's like, okay, and the Bulls drafted him, and he's getting his mojo going, and he's like, okay. So 21-year-old Michael Jordan signed a 5-year deal with Nike worth about $500,000 a year. That's what the top of the people were getting. And they were getting it with Converse, and he couldn't get it with Converse, but that's what he got with Nike. $500,000 a year. That was like incredible to be able to do that, right? But here's what happened as well. He also got a percentage of the revenue from the deal. He didn't just get the one-time payment. He actually built brand equity inside there. So in 1985, original shoes were $65. Okay? They planned to make about $3 million with it. They made $126 million the very first year. Right? That's not me, just so you guys know, right there, right? But we went through, I did get a shirt inside there. Spike Lee got the acting gig inside there as well, but he totally changed, right? So Jordan made $90 million playing 15 seasons of basketball. $90 million, which is incredible. He made $2.4 billion in revenue share. Okay? So even just in 2023, he made roughly 3.5 times his entire playing career in 1 year from revenue share. Right? So you get to choose, do you want to continue to play this game, or do you want to build brand equity and attention inside there and change the rules, right? Jordan became famous because he played basketball. We know that, right? He became a billionaire because he became the brand, he became the attention and the brand. He played the game, right? He became the brand. He commanded attention. You get to decide that. So no, I didn't run into him at the shoe store. And the rest of the story was correct as well. But what happened? You notice how much more attention you paid to the story because there was a celebrity involved? Right? You guys were quiet for a minute. You're like, whoa, what's he doing selling shoes there? Right? Here's the deal. I choose EXP, and I chose EXP as my way to monetize my brand. Your path might be different. You might be a Coldwell Banker, which is a great company. I was at an independent. I was at Remax. Love my time there. Love my time at Keller Williams. I believe EXP has a lot of opportunities to be able to expand that brand, but it might be you might be on social media. Your path might be different. Yours might say, I'm going to build a team or whatever that is. That's great. I built an EXP organization over $11,000 because it allows me time, money, and location freedom. That's why we got in, right? To be able to, it matched what I was looking for. You might be a little bit different, and that's okay as well. Freedom creates service. It creates leadership and impact and legacy and being more of what you are. If you're already the person that Brent told me you are when I came in, right? He talked amazing about you. Then you're incredible people. Then you need to not be ignorable, right? So you either get paid for decisions you made years ago or you pay for the decisions you made years ago, right? Every day we're making those decisions. So freedom usually starts out working with buyers and maybe going through and say, oh my gosh, I'm going to work with buyers. They take so much time. I'm going to work for leverage to get to sellers and, I'm going to build a team and all these different things. But eventually there's got to be something. What is the payoff, right? Maybe you become a coach. Maybe you build a team, whatever it is. But find something that matches what you're trying to do. For me, it was EXP. Why should we do this now? What's the urgency? Who knows? I'll get to the next thing that comes up. That might be. But does crazy stuff happen in real estate? Like every day? Stuff you're like, oh, I did not see that coming, right? 7,000 plus home sales. Every one of them, they're like, you're not going to believe this. I'm like, probably will. Probably will. Yeah, Crazyville, right? Reason is risk reduction. So one of my friends, Rob Flick, he said, build it before you need it. Because I didn't want to build an organization. I was like, hey, I just like this company because this is what I want to build. But he's like, you know what? Build this before you need it. Right? There's a great book that says, dig your well before you're thirsty. Right now, there's a lot of people that are in this industry that this is the first time they're having to try to figure stuff out. Right? They got in during COVID when things were blowing up and they're like, I need to learn to work now. I need to figure this out. But we have to build it before you need it inside there. That's my back. So I've had like 4 back surgeries. None of them were planned, right? If I hadn't built ahead of time, if I didn't build a team, if I didn't build a brand and have brand equity inside there, I would be in a really bad spot, right? Nobody ever really plans for that. Also, during COVID, this is my youngest son, Trayson. He had some massive health issues, massive. And we were trying to work with them, and we would bring him to every doctor we could bring him to, and he's like, tell me about your healthcare. At the time, I wasn't on EXP healthcare, right? I was like, it was just kind of getting going, and we had some pre-existing condition stuff that we couldn't do. But we went to the doctors. I met with the doctors, and they were telling me all the different stuff they're having to do and the types of drugs, and they're like, okay, we have to see if this will get past your insurance. I was like, it won't. I'm like, why? I'm like, well, because I'm the insurance. And they're like, well, this is going to be super expensive. Like, this is going to be Crazyville expensive. And I said, like, let's go. Let's do it. Again, I'm not bragging about it, but I knew because I had done the work and I had built the organization, built the team, that we could do it. And that's comforting to be able to do that. You don't know what is in your future and what you're going to have to fund, not just your daughter's wedding, right, but the things that you're going to have to do. He's doing a lot better now, right, but you have to be able to say, I've got to build it before I need it. Our biggest problem is we're not thinking big enough. So people come to me all the time and they ask me, Curtis, I want to build a big team. I want to build a big organization. What do I do? You guys want the secret? 4 of you. Fantastic. This is amazing, okay? Let's try it again. We're almost done. It takes longer if I have to rev you back up again. Do you guys want the secret? Yeah. Man, you guys are the fast group. I love you. All right. So if you want to go hunt for whales, you got to go deep into the ocean. Agree with that? Right? They're not going to just show up on your doorstep. You want to go hunt lions and tigers and giraffes or whatever, you got to go out to Africa. You got to go out there, right? You can't just wait for them to come to your door. You can't just do that. So agent recruiting and duplication is like teaching a dog to fetch. You're like, I could teach a dog to fetch. I could do that. I could do that. Let's go, right? And when people are like, hey, they go, Chris, like, I just can't get this agent to do anything. This agent, like, they won't do anything. They won't recruit. They won't do this. They won't make their calls. What do I do? Like, oh, come on, play fetch. What do I do? How about I use a little biscuit? A little biscuit. Oh, come on, get the dog. They're like, oh, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. Say, what do I do, Curtis? I go, you're not going to convince it. What you do is you go down to the lake. You want to teach a dog to fetch? You go down to the lake, and you look for the black lab that's coming out of the water, just shaking and shaking. It's like, come on, throw the stick, let's play, let's do this, right? They want to, right? Because you got to look and spend time with the black labs. Nobody has to tell them to play fetch. You don't have to teach a black lab to play fetch. They know how to do it. If you have to push a string, it doesn't work. So what do I do? How do I teach this dog to be able to do that? You can't. You can't. You could teach them enough and you can give them the opportunity. If they want to go fetch, they're going to go fetch. You're not going to push Fluffy to go do it, right? You've got to go find black labs. When you find black labs, like you guys are black labs, life gets super fun. As we wrap up, I hope you know you are not meant to be invisible. You are meant to lead, right? Each one of us have a story. Each one of us have a reason to fail. Each one of us have a reason to win. Each one of you are God-given. You have these incredible abilities and trials and things you've gone through that make you so amazing. Your story is not the drawback. Your story is your superpower. You do not get permission. Nobody's going to tell you it's okay to do that. Right now, I'm giving you permission. I'm giving you permission to be all of you, to go out and to go do that. The stage is empty. You've got to go out and take it. No one's going to do it for you. This wasn't about fame. This wasn't about followers. It's always about influence, right? Because as you do this, you're going to have more opportunities to go serve and bless the lives of other people around you. The bigger your platform, the bigger your responsibility. Even if you won't do it for you, do it for the families that need you. And that family might be at home right now, right? It might be your kids. It might be your spouse. It might be your kid, your in-laws, or whatever that is. If you won't do this for you, do it for somebody else. They need you. I believe this. The world does not need more agents. It needs more trusted voices like you. So if you're like, man, you know what? You know how many times I've failed and done this or whatever. Allow yourself the grace to start again. Stand up for just a second as I wrap up. Come on, stand up. You can do it. You've been sitting for a while. So has anybody ever seen this before? Give a man a fish and feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and feed him for a lifetime. Right? You guys agree with that? Yeah, it's a lie. Because they didn't tell you the last part of it. It's actually true, but they just didn't tell you the last part. Give a man a fish and feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish, feed him for a lifetime. Teach a man to fish, and you feed generations. Right? I'm going to leave you with this. In 1962, John F. Kennedy visited the NASA Space Center, and during the visit, he noticed there was a janitor off in the corner just carrying a broom. Right? Looking for any votes or whatever. JFK walked over to him, and he's like, "Hi, I'm Jack Kennedy. What are you doing?" And what did the janitor say? He responded, "Well, Mr. President, I'm helping put a man on the moon." So when we're out selling houses, are you just selling houses, or are you helping change the world in what you're doing? I believe this is our opportunity. This is our calling right now. So what do? Start now. Start where you are. Start with fear. Start with pain. Start with doubt. Start with hands shaking and trembling. Start with voice trembling. Just start. So stand up, get loud. If it's time for the world to hear your story and for you to be unignorable. Thank you very much. I'm Curtis Johnson.